Hey everyone, Erin from the Impatient Gardener here with another quick Q&A for you. It is an okay day. We're outside. The snow has mostly melted for now. The top few inches of soil has actually thawed out. So I'm actually able to do a little bit of gardening today. It is not warm. I'm hiding on the north side of the house right now to try to get some protection from the wind. But it's better than being inside. And I am going to get some gardening done today. I don't really care to. It's not great weather. But every time the weather's kind of lousy, but you could be gardening, I try to take a note from our British gardening friends who are out there in every kind of weather all the time. And honestly, I think if the Brits didn't garden when it was raining, like when would they even garden? So I'm going to try to toughen up a little and get out into the garden. So if you see me looking very much the same in the next video you watch, it may be because that's the next video that I film right after this. But it's been a little bit since I did a Q&A. So let's just get into it. Most of these questions came from last week's or the last Q&A video. Here we go. Lynn would like to know, what is my advice on planting a tree where a tree has died? She said she was saddened by the death of a sick pine. We had the stump ground out a few days ago. She thought she would dig out the grindings. She's in my same zone. Not that it really matters when we're talking about sick plants. Unless a plant dies of something that is, could be like a fungal disease or something in the soil, that's the only time you really want to worry about planting something where a sick plant was growing. In the case of a pine, there are so many different things that can kill pines. Now, I think it's probably a good practice, just in case, to not plant the same thing back into a hole again or in the same area. It's not to say you can't. I'm just saying, like, you know, maybe there's a reason that pine died, because it didn't like the exposure, or it was too wet or too dry, or, you know, maybe that's why the thing died, not that there was some sort of disease with it. So generally speaking, you know, I think it's a good thing if you can to just plant something else. The only issue, and you've brought this up, with planting where you've had stumps dug out, is that they tend to leave behind people who dig out stumps. Like, at least every time we've had a stump removed, they come in, grind up all the wood chips, and then they basically just fill in the hole with the wood chips and rake it over. You cannot plant anything in wood chips. So you're going to have to dig out those wood chips as best you can. And it's not fun. In fact, when we have the trees removed along our driveway by the neighbors, which I just put that video up now, so by the time you see this, you will have seen that video. We have already talked to the people who are going to be removing the trees and the stumps and told them that they have got to dig those chips out and just leave holes in the ground, because you can't plant in wood chips. Tammy says, my dahlias I store each year keep drying out. I think I'm just going to have to start growing them from seed. She wants to know if I've ever done that, or if I could make a video doing that. So first of all, if your dahlias are, you know, if your dahlias are constantly drying out, I mean, you just have to, I mean, it's not, you can give up on it for sure, because growing dahlias from seed is a great way to do it. But if you want to store some things, I would think about using a different medium than what you're using. I mean, different things seem to work better for different scenarios. I know that many years ago when I first started storing dahlias, I stored them in peat and I lost everything. It was like the peat moss sucked out every bit of moisture out of those tubers. So look at storing them in a different way, or more than that, revisit how you're storing them again and make sure that it's cool enough. And I mean, obviously, like you want like 45 degrees is pretty much optimal. There's obviously a range, but aim for that. And then check on them more frequently and spritz them or get some moisture in there if they're really drying out. Now, if you want to give up on it altogether, no problem. Dahlias are incredibly easy to grow from seed, and they will form tubers that year. So it is absolutely, it's just like planting a zinnia, basically. They're extremely easy. Right about now, in my area, is a pretty good time to be doing it, actually. They're pretty quick to grow from seed. So they will flower and do everything. The only problem with growing from seed is that you don't know what you're going to get. So you will probably be able to choose, like sometimes they'll have a mix, but the only way you know exactly the dahlia you're going to grow is if you grow it from cuttings or a tuber. That said, if you're not super fussy about exactly what it looks like and you just want kind of a general range, which you'll often get with dahlia seed mixes, go for it. It's easy. And by the way, I mean, there will be information on the seed packet for sure about how to do it, but it's very simple. If you can get them started on a heat mat, that'll be great. Grow them under lights for a bit if you've got that option. Otherwise, you might have to wait a little bit, and then you're going to get pushing your flowers to later in the year. But they're not difficult. Here's a pretty good question. Last year was the worst gardening year I've ever had, this person writes. All of my crops in my extensive raised beds were damaged by pests and fungus and powdery mildews and all those nasty diseases. Is it safe to grow again in these raised beds again? And if not, what do I do? Well, first of all, I'm sorry to hear about that. So a persistent problem like that, like where all those things are going wrong, suggests that there's something kind of systematic there, that you had all those issues in one year. Now, my guess is maybe the year was difficult for one reason, you know. So remember, healthy plants are less susceptible to these diseases than other things are. So the first thing I would do is start with a soil test, if you haven't already done that. And I would send that off to a, if you have a public university lab you can send it to. Try to make a note when you send it off to someone saying, I had all these problems last year, so that they're looking for something in the soil. Now, my guess is that there probably isn't actually anything wrong with the soil, but you never know until you do a soil test, so it's worth doing that. Hopefully you cleaned up everything really, really well last year, and if you haven't, get in there and clean out any bit of plant material that might be left in those beds so that they're really clean. Then the next thing I would do is go in there with a nice layer of really healthy compost. You know, as much as you can fit in your raised beds is what I would put in there. I like to fill mine up to basically an inch from the top, honestly, every year, but do whatever you can get in there. And I wouldn't mix it in. I would just, personally, I'd sort of go no dig on this and just leave it at the top and plant into that. Do check on like your watering situation, what might have been going there. You make sure there's enough sun. It just seems like a lot of problems to have. Now, sometimes that's just bad luck and that's how it works. But I think you're going to be okay moving forward. Personally, I'd have a really hard time just abandoning raised beds. You know, if there was some persistent issue with the soil, theoretically you could dig out a certain amount of that soil and put new soil in. I don't think it's going to be that at all. I would just take a look at all your other sort of gardening practices that go into this. So check your watering, check your plant spacing, make sure things are growing in the right amount of light, and just make sure that none of those other issues that contribute to a plant being unwell are going on. But I think you're probably going to be okay, but I do think starting with a soil test is the thing to do. Suzanne Bartow says, where do I purchase my dwarf tomato plants, or do I grow them from seed? I grow them all from seed. I have not found a source for buying dwarf tomato plants. Listen, dwarf tomato plants are getting popular. Soon we're going to be able to buy them in stores if we can, or I mean, there might be like a local nursery or greenhouse near you that might be doing that, but I think soon we'll be able to buy those. But I just grow all mine from seed. J Recording says, Erin's new mantra, save a garden, kill a deer. I could see you wear a t-shirt with that on it. Not gonna lie here. I feel like that quite a bit. I'm not really one who advocates for anything bad to happen to animals, except to say that letting a population run unchecked is not doing animals any favors either. Lots of comments on brugmansia and datura last year. People said, don't worry about bringing it in. It'll get plenty big. So that is news to me. Here's Nini says, I planted brugmansia in a half whiskey barrel on wheels. It got 10 feet tall in one season. She's in zone 7B. She said she rolled into the garage at the end of the season, wrapped a grow cloth around it, and now she got 2 more to grow this year. She says she's heard it can be cut back and deep mulch from a friend who's had success doing so. So, you know, maybe I got to give that a shot. I don't know. A lot of people, some people said it reseeds well for them. So there you go. Here's someone who says, this is from MKN. Do you like okra? It's pretty divisive. I'm reading the whole okra and happen to love the vegetable. She says she's looking forward to growing burgundy this year. I have never grown okra, but it is a gorgeous plant. Claudia from the Organized Homemaker on Instagram has been encouraging me for a couple of years now to just grow some okra. I happen to think it is the most, I just think it's a stunning looking plant, and I have been known to grow things just because they're pretty looking. But I haven't done that yet. I don't really have a strong feeling about okra. I mean, the only thing I've ever actually eaten okra in is gumbo. So, and I like gumbo, but I think up here in the north, we never eat okra just for the sake of eating okra. Someone's going to correct me. The only people I know who eat okra for the sake of eating okra came from the south originally. So it's on my list of things to grow because I think it'd be a cool plant to grow, and I think it would be fun to try something new for that. Jordan says, do you have any outdoor lighting in the garden? So I'm kind of split. The short answer is no, not really. We have some lights that I hate along our driveway. I've been trying to find something better to replace them with for the 20 years that we've lived here, and I've yet to find anything. I'd love to replace those, but I don't have any sort of uplighting on anything. So I keep hearing that, I mean, I think I need to do a little bit more research on this because, so I think I need to do a bit more research on outdoor lighting because I keep hearing that night lighting outdoors is not good for the insect population at all, like the beneficial insect population. So that kind of discourages me from doing it. But I see a lot of people who might otherwise be worried about something like that who have outdoor lights. So I wonder if there's what's involved in that. I do have a few solar lights, and I think I'm going to add a few more because honestly, the one thing that is such a pain is like going and running, having an electrician come to go run new wires, or even as a DIY project. I have a lot of DIY projects coming up, and I'm wishing I didn't have to DIY quite as much as I do already. So that's the main reason why. That said, when I see some of these professionally designed gardens, and they've got beautiful outdoor lighting plans as part of them, it's absolutely stunning. I mean, it's really, really amazing. So I don't really know how I feel about it, but that wasn't the question. The question was, do I have any? And the answer is pretty much no. Okay, the postcards are part of my ongoing project to have all of you send me postcards or cards from your favorite gardens and let me know what you saw there that was inspirational. And I'm sharing those with everyone so we can all share in the inspiration. Okay, this is from Susan. Hi Erin, greetings from a Colorado, challenging gardening with altitude, but your videos are awesome, so informative and fun. Hudson Gardens is operated by our Park and Rec district along the Platte River. All the best for an awesome growing season. The description on this postcard from Hudson Gardens is Black-eyed Susans, purple coneflowers, and Shasta daisies. Our regional display gardens illustrate the incredible range of floral beauty that will grow in Colorado. There are 30 acres and 16 unique and varied gardens of wondrous beauty for people to enjoy. I have friends in Colorado, and they deal with elk. And they always tell me that if you think deer are bad, wait till you deal with elk. Okay, here is a postcard from Longwood Gardens, the beautiful Longwood Gardens in Pennsylvania. This is from a fellow Wisconsinite, Nancy. Nancy says, hi Erin, we just returned from the Philly Flower Show and a brief trip to Longwood Gardens. Both were beautiful. Love your channel and your approach to gardening. Didn't you try to grow the blue poppy once? We saw it in Vancouver once. So the Himalayan blue poppy, Meconopsis, I have not tried to grow it because everything I've read about it says it's just such a heartbreaker. It needs very specific conditions to grow, but I have seen, mere mortal gardeners growing it. And I mean, I happen to think it might be maybe one of the most beautiful flowers in the world. Just stunning. Let's call this California dreaming. One of my favorite road trips is driving up the Pacific Coast Highway. This time it includes stops in Humboldt County to run 26 miles. But first, a delight of a stay in Mendocino County. Oh, in Mendocino County. Mendocino. It's probably Mendocino in California. The weather was typical Pacific Northwest with a heavy mist of fog shrouding the cliffs in peekaboo enchantment. Pam, this is a delightful postcard. But how verdant and lush. This calla lily looks like it couldn't have picked a better home. Loving the Q&A segments. Thanks for all you bring. That is stunning. That is from Pam. And I take it Pam went and ran a marathon, so run for me, Pam, because I'm not doing that. All right, Denver Botanic Gardens are up next. Happy spring, Erin. If you haven't been to DBG, I can only say you must go. It has evolved into a world-class public garden that is for all seasons. I know you'd love it. I worked there for 2 years and miss exploring all the gardens and paths. Happy spring. Hope your garden is waking up, Lucinda. That is lovely. Look at those beautiful tulips. Denver Botanic Gardens on the list. Here's Brook Green Gardens. This is in Pawleys Island, South Carolina. Hi, Erin. The live oaks and Spanish moss are worth a visit to Brook Green Gardens near Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It's a great place to spend time wandering the paths. Hope you have a fantastic spring. This is from Heidi. I have not been there, but I have been to other gardens in South Carolina, and live oaks are, I always thought that was such a strange name for a tree. Doesn't matter. They are, I mean, they're unbelievable. To be in the presence of a fabulous old tree like that is kind of amazing and humbling. Erin, here's another vintage postcard for the collection. I've not been there, and I don't think the clock is still around. I'm in Portsmouth, Ohio. This is from Chris. Chris is from Zone 6B. So the photo, oh my God, I love these vintage postcards. This is Florida Cactus Inc. This is the cactus clock. This beautifully designed electric clock consists of approximately 12,000 cacti. The clock keeps perfect time. It measures 24 feet in diameter or 75 feet in circumference. It may be viewed on Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. To 5 p.m. I wonder how old this is. Is that cool or what? Pretty wild. Thank you for that. That was neat. Oh, look at this. Okay. This is from San Diego. Okay, this is from San Diego. Hi there, Erin. I recently had a sister's getaway to several spots in Southern California. We stopped in Balboa Park near San Diego. That's where this gorgeous greenhouse can be seen, although sadly it was under construction. The park also boasts a beautiful sunken Japanese garden, native plants, and fountains. This is from Natasha. That is amazing. So this is the botanical building, and it says at the time it was built, it was the largest lath structure in the world. Measures 250 feet long by 75 feet wide. We have such a good array of postcard locations. Desert Botanical Garden. Hi, Erin. I garden in Zone 5. We recently visited the Arizona Desert Botanical Garden. Upon entering the garden, I was moved to tears by the beauty. The colors, the textures, it felt like I was visiting a different planet. Although I love my garden, I could see myself there too. Love your channel. From Alicia. This is the Desert Botanic Garden, and this is the specific garden featured here is the Autosen Entry Garden. This is stunning, and I have to say, it's always interesting to me when I go to these like desert type gardens. Like I was at Huntington Gardens a few years ago, and they have a whole desert garden area, and like I wouldn't think that I would find a lot of enjoyment in that because it's so different from what I think of as a garden. But they are stunningly, just stunningly beautiful. Here is another Longwood Gardens postcard. You guys, Longwood Gardens is so great. Erin took a trip to Longwood for the first time in early March and was blown away by the beauty and history. Can't wait to go back. Saw this postcard of the water lilies and thought of you. As a fellow master gardener, I appreciate your honesty and knowledge immensely. Thank you and keep up the great work. This is from Marianne. She's from Southwest Pennsylvania, Zone 6. So Longwood actually has their own, they have actually bred some of these giant water lilies. They've crossed them. I think there's like the African water lily and another one, and they've crossed them and created their own. You can stand, I mean, you can't. A person can stand on these. They are, I mean, certainly 6 feet wide and wider in some cases. They are, I mean, to me, this kind of thing is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Like, something can grow like that. This world is an amazing place, I tell you. All right, that is this week's Postcards. Thank you for watching. I am very cold already. I'm gonna go find myself some gloves, maybe some warmer socks, because I'm so far behind in this garden. It's not gonna get itself done, so I better get on with it. I hope you guys are having a great time, great day, great time, whatever, in your garden, able to spend some time in it. Maybe I'll actually prune some hydrangeas today, because I haven't done that yet either. All right, enough with my belly aching. We'll see you guys soon. Bye.